What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 14 of the Baschamania podcast. I am your host, Justin Bash, and the parade of NCAA champions continues. Today, the conversation is with 2019 NCAA champion at heavyweight, Anthony Cassar. Cassar has a fascinating story of overcoming and finding success. You're definitely going to want to stick around to the end of this episode and hear everything this kid has to say. And guys, be sure to subscribe. If you enjoy the podcast, please follow. Leave a 5-star review on Apple, subscribe on Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on social media. It's at Baschamania on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can join the conversation. With that said, let's start the show.
It's Baschamania! Let me tell you something, brother. He gave us everything he had in him tonight. What you gonna do when Baschamania runs wild on you? Oh, it's gonna be a good one. And business just picked up here on the podcast. Oh, yeah.
Anthony Cassar, how are you?
Doing great. What's going on?
It's been a big day. It's funny, knowing we were recording today, and then about at 4 o'clock, I see breaking news, Kyle Schneider signs with the NLWC. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. That's good time. Did you know about this?
I heard whispers here and there that he was, thinking about it, but wasn't really till when you guys found out that I found out for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's got to be exciting for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime we got a great, series of different feels in the room, but anytime I get another big guy in there, especially one of his caliber, I'm freaking pumped.
I know, same. I'm like, man, Penn State has just between you, Nickel, Taylor, Connell, Cal, Varner, the amount of heavyweight talent in that room now is just nuts, and that's got to mean a lot for you because we'll kind of dive in talking about it, but because I want the Anthony Cassar story. I'm fascinated by it. You're such a high level wrestler, but you have such a unique story in that in high school you enter the Jersey State tournament once and win it. As a senior in college, you enter the NCAA tournament once and win it, and you win the tournament, avenging your only loss, and you beat the top two kids. So it's not like you just had a weak weight class and you beat a few kids. You beat the number one, the number two, and guys that were heavily recruited and touted to be the champion. So Let's get started talking about that. What is it like both in high school and college to go out on top? And I say go out on top because I know you have another year left at Penn State.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, you were able to go out on top after years of grinding. You had nothing easy. You weren't a heavy favorite. You fought. And I think in college especially, I think people were a bit turned on to you after you beat Colin Moore and Rec Hall. That was the match that just... I'm thinking of the picture right now, the sideways profile shot of you just celebrating. Yes, I know you know the shot.
Yeah, I was a little skinnier back then, but it's still a good pic.
That's how you know you're from Jersey, by the way. When your first thought is, I wasn't as swole as I am now.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me what it's like for both high school and college to be able to finish like that.
I mean... Starting off my careers in both high school and college, I felt kind of behind the curve. Growing up, I wasn't one of those kids that had come from the best wrestling town where I was wrestling in high-level tournaments since a young age and, training in the off-season and doing all that. So when we started the program in my town, it was my family and a couple other families around, so we didn't really know much. And so that was kind of my, getting into wrestling was just a fresh start with a fresh town that really didn't have a base yet. So throughout middle school and leading up to high school, I was really just doing that. Then in the off season, it was kind of here and there training.
Yep.
So when I got to be a freshman in high school, I was kind of starting from scratch. And I've been around the sport for a while, but there's just different levels to it, as you know. So sophomore, junior year of high school, in between those 2 years is when I had a somewhat success after my sophomore season and realized, I could get good at this if I start doing the right things and start putting in the work. And so that's when I joined Ronald Wrestling Club with Mike Malanconico, and he kind of helped me, train actual wrestling as opposed to just double legs.
Having fun, right?
yeah. And so his ultimate goal was to try to make me a slick wrestler, because I would just, go full meathead on guys. And so he helped me make that transition over, set my goal of being a state champ for my senior year. And I just missed qualifying for it the junior season by one match. And walking off the mat, that's when something clicked in my head. Walking off the mat, I saw my family. I saw the few fans I had, and I just felt something. I loved seeing them. I loved seeing them cheer for me. I hated the feeling of letting them down, and I just felt the potential of what I could bring to them and the pride I could bring to myself and to my God. So that kind of clicked that moment, and I've been on a path ever since where I set goals and I do my best to get there. So that's what kind of led to that final achievement my senior year of winning states, was just being clear on what I wanted and aligning my life accordingly. And then coming to college, same type of thing. I got to college, with a bunch of guys highly recruited, 4 or 5 time state champs. I'm a 1-time state champ, and kind of overlooked, and knew I wanted to go to Penn State because I knew that I had to catch up. And the easiest way to get something done is to surround yourself with people that are currently doing it or have done it. So I did that, and then since that day 5 years ago, it's just been an onward grind of just trying to catch up and improve and pass people up by being more committed and working harder and wanting it more. And so that's kind of led me to where I am today, and ultimately achieving that goal 5 years later is just a testament to what I like to call grit and just passion and perseverance for a long-term goal, which I feel like God's blessed me with a great deal of. And I think that's the main reason why I was able to, achieve those goals down the line.
And there's so many. I feel like this could be like a 3-hour Joe Rogan podcast, and I'm not going to do that to you, but there's so many like golden nuggets in what you're saying. I want to try to break down a few of them. The first thing that catches my mind is when you see that, what was it, sophomore year, you saw your family, your friends, and you say, okay, I see the potential, I see this. A lot of people see that. They don't go out within a year or two and win. Like, there's people, I wrestled in high school. I was no good. I wanted to win. I couldn't ever get to that step. What is it that let you get to that next level? Is it anything specific, or is it just a matter of let me try to work harder and harder and see what develops?
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into that last 10 years, but to what you're saying, that moment, I think I realized, like I said, for my town, that was a big thing, that I was that match away from going to states. We had maybe a handful of state qualifiers. So seeing what I did there with the amount of work I was putting in, it just kind of like a flip switched in my head where I was like, all right, if I could do that to get here, then I know that if I do everything right and seek out the right, setting and coaches and everything, that I could do even more. And so that was kind of like where my head was at.
And then how do you – it's always interesting, too, from a Christian standpoint, because so many times people think, I got to do more. But when you're a Christian, you realize I got to let God do more and I got to do less, which is interesting because in wrestling, like, you have to do everything humanly possible you can to give 100%. But at the same time, you got to give that to God afterward and say, okay, you bless this, you do what you want. Is there a level that you've had of just surrender and submissiveness after you put in the work? Or what's it like when you, even the switch can flip and so many people still don't see that success? Is it a level of just trust and faith that once you've put the work in, the rest will fall into place?
So that's kind of a philosophical question that I've kind of gotten into and struggled with over the past few years.
Sure.
It's a very deep question. What sense of control does God have in our lives, and what is His position in our lives. I had many deep conversations with my father about that after my struggles making the starting spot in the starting lineup at Penn State. So to a certain extent, I feel like I have complete control over what's going to happen in my life to a certain extent. So if I set a goal, I have the power to make that goal possible and to achieve that goal. And that's what got me to win that state title and has helped me to win a national title as well. To that point, there's so many things outside of my control as well. And to that, I leave up to God, and I trust in Him, and I want to, pursue my goals in accordance with His will and try to be, a witness to Him as I do it. So in that sense, it's a, synergistic relationship. But when it comes down to it, what I've learned is that, my life is in my power, and, I have the power to create it.
And you also seem like you have a lot of fun doing what you do. And I feel like that's a struggle for a lot of people too. Since Cal went to Penn State, I've been blessed to hang out in the Penn State room, and I see how much fun it is. And for me, it's like second nature, because that's the only college room I've ever been in is Penn State. Mm-hmm. And if that's all you see, that's not a fair assumption of what goes on in collegiate wrestling. Because it's like you talk to someone like Spencer Lee, and it's like he's talking about mental tough Tuesdays or whatever it is. There's a different focus where it's more you need to be mentally tough, and it's no different at Penn State. You need to be mentally tough, but at the same time, you're having fun. Have you always had fun with what you do, or is that something you started doing more of at Penn State, or like what progression has fun played into that throughout your career?
Yeah, it was never really something that I acknowledged until people were pointing out at Penn State all the time. Penn State has fun, Penn State does this and that, which is kind of just like you said, like it's second nature to us, and I think that's a testament to the coaching staff and who they recruit. They just recruit guys that they know love wrestling and have that inner motivation and passion for themselves, where it's not like we're going to have to like force you to do this and make you run because we need to make you get tougher. Like I have all that inside of me, and like that's what got me to Penn State in the first place. Is I just wanted to be the best, and I was enjoying what I was doing. I have a passion for it, so it's kind of just rolled into what I do. I enjoy the hard days. I enjoy lifting. I enjoy eating. I enjoy the entire process of it. So it's like that's fun to me, but it's not like I'm, as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, like this is so much fun. It's just like kind of rolled into it, if that makes sense.
No, it does, because it's the cliche saying of you have to enjoy the process, not the destination. And it's always harder, I feel like, to say that until you're at the destination and you can say, I've enjoyed the journey. Otherwise, like people are so dead set on whatever their goal is, whatever their destination is, that they can't enjoy it because they're robbing themselves of that joy. And I feel like if you've had heartache, like I'm curious, the next thing I'm curious about is your biggest heartache in wrestling. But I feel like a lot of people, like once you've hit that level of, okay, I won a state championship, okay, I won an NCAA championship, you've had like the release of that tension and stress of not winning. And it's like, okay, I'm not winning. State title I won. Okay, I'm not winning. I'm not making the squad. NCAA championship I won. I'm curious at how do you keep that in focus through those years of, like you said, you had a conversation with your father when you're not making the squad.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that? Because I'm sure, like, especially people listening to this, we were talking about this before we started recording. I'm blessed that I have conversations with so many high-level wrestlers. Everybody I talk to is an NCAA champion. So for me, it's like they're an NCAA champion, they're a world champion, there's an Olympic champion, right? Yeah. But wrestling is such a sport where there's a lot of heartache. Like, and you're no stranger to it because Jersey State tournament has to be the toughest state tournament in the country. By far. We had a Scrap Life booth, and I've been there the last like 3 years, and I won't mention certain guys, but I've seen guys like basically pick up garbage cans and launch them because of heartbreaks. Like, I see it. How do you overcome that heartache and keep everything in focus and not just say, okay, I'm not making the Penn State squad. Maybe I'm not good enough. Or I didn't qualify for the Jersey State tournament. I'm one match short. Like, how do you overcome that hump of that mental toughness to say, I didn't accomplish, like, not accomplishing your goal is like a slap in the face every time. A lot of, like, especially wrestlers, and I'll include myself, like, we're sick in the head when we don't get something we want. It motivates us, but it's also easy to throw the towel in and say, maybe I'm not good enough. How do you overcome that? And then, like, it's fascinating because I haven't talked to anybody who has overcome it in such a fashion. Like, you didn't just overcome it and make the Jersey State tournament. You didn't just overcome it and become All-American. Like, you show up one time to the state tournament, one time to the NCAA tournament, and as a marketing guy, I'm already thinking, like, okay, here's the website. One Jersey State tournament, one Jersey State championship. One NCAA tournament, one NCAA championship. One Olympic trials, one Olympic championship. Like, you see that turning.
Exactly.
But what is it that you focus on to make sure that afterwards, after the heartbreak, you set yourself up for future success?
Yeah. So in high school, after that junior season, as I mentioned, that was a little different because I had a sense of, what I was doing to prepare and then what happened. So I knew exactly, what I needed to change. So it was like, all right, I enjoy doing this and I was, close to reaching one of my goals. But now I know that if I do all of this, I will achieve my goal. So that motivation was pretty quick. The next day I was back at it. I wanted to win states. And from there on, that was my goal. When I got to college, my first heartbreak was my first shoulder injury at Junior Worlds. So after that, I got surgery and my first injury, so kind of new to me. I was like, all right, I'm going to come back even stronger.
So you never got injured through, like, high school or anything?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, I'm going to come back even stronger. People get injured all the time. I was in the quarterfinals winning in the Junior Worlds, so I was doing well and motivated to get back, and that was fairly. It was new, but fairly easy as well in terms of what I needed to do to get better. Then, when things started getting really tough, is when my first tournament back from that injury, I tore my shoulder my second match again. So tore everything in my shoulder once again. So that's when those questions started coming up, where why God this, why God that. What can I take from this if I just did this whole 8 months process to learn from this, and now I'm back at square one. So that was the first real heartbreak, where I was confused and didn't understand what was going on and how I was going to use this as a growing point. So once I started doing all that surgery, rehab, and everything, and that's when those questions and conversations started coming up with my father before that. And to that point, it was just, I had to be very clear on I'm either going one way or the other. So, right. The doctors were telling me that one more surgery and my shoulder's done for my career. So it was either, go all in, get my shoulder healthy, take as long as I can, and continue on this path that I feel like I was born to put to be on and that I'm passionate about, or take an alternate path. And that question and that debate, for me was pretty simple. And to that, I think that God just put that in me, that I have a passion for the sport, and I feel like I was born to do it and to be a champion, and a champion for Him. So that's where that's what I relied on, is that feeling inside me, and just that knowing that this is the right thing, and this is just another obstacle I have to learn from and improve on. And that led me up until, from that point on, I was doing everything right, preparing to come back even stronger, and that led me to the next heartbreak, where I didn't make the starting lineup and lost my spot going into the nationals at 197.
Yep.
So that's another time where I was confused and heartbroken, and when you're doing everything right and you feel like you don't understand the reason why this is happening, you can't think of a logical one. It's a very hard thing to deal with, and so I understand why most people would call it quits or go a separate way. But like I said, I for me that's just not really in me, and I think that's also a testament to the way I was raised. My father, my grandfather. Quitting was never really an option, and hard work was the thing we relied on. So that's just kind of in my nature. And once again, thought back to what I wanted. And like I said before, if there's something that, you're doing wrong or that you have to change, it's fairly easy to acknowledge that and then and have the motivation to move on. When you can't really think about anything you need to change or you're doing wrong, it's a much harder situation. And that's the situation I was in for my second surgery and for that when I lost the starting spot. And for those situations, I think it's just a decision. It's just, I need to continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be the reason why I achieve my goal and not the reason why I don't. So in those moments, I was thinking, all right, 10 years from now, I could look back and, be telling people that I didn't achieve my goals because I had 2 shoulder surgeries and a third one could have ended my career. And then I lost the starting spot, all this stuff. And they would have been fairly good reasons to why I didn't achieve my goals. Or I could have said, looking back 10 years later, I could say I had this shoulder surgery. It made me want it even more. It made me grateful to be able to practice, made me grateful to be able to compete, made me grateful just to be alive and just to pursue my passions and then for the losing the starting spot, same type of thing. I used that as motivation to continue doing what I was doing and to go to my more natural weight class and to use all those different things to be, factors into why I ended up achieving my goal. And I like that story a lot more than the previous one. And so that's what, kind of helped me get through that.
And it's interesting too, because, I remember it's weird. I listen to interviews post-match all the time. If I see them on Twitter or Flow or whatever, and it's always weird, the little one-off things that stick with me. And I remember Bader interviewing you after you won NCAAs this year, and you said that you're going to wake up and go on a gratitude walk. And I don't know why, but that just stuck with me. Because when I wake up at 4:30 or 5 every day. And the days I walk my dog when I wake up, and I'm usually praying on the walk, I'm thinking about my day, I usually have a better day. It's wild. So it resonated with me as soon as you said that. And it got me thinking that I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming it's a daily commitment to what you're doing, that it's not like, let me just grind for 3 weeks, then evaluate it. It seems like, based on the little things I've heard here and there, and what you're telling me now, is it's an everyday thing of acknowledging where you're at, what you're doing, and committing to the little things to say, okay, I'm doing everything right, I'm still not there. It's really having faith and trusting the process. There's so many times where it's like, okay, listen, I don't understand this, but I know doing the right thing is always the right thing. So sometimes, I had absolutely no success in wrestling. I think I was 5th place. JV was the highest I ever placed. I've never had any success, but I can look at it from a business success and say, okay, I didn't know that doing this every day for 3 years would lead to that. And it's easy to look back, but it's hard to, when you're in the struggle, to trust the process. Is that something you worked on, or was that something that's just how you're raised? What led you to taking a gratitude walk every day? I think that's fascinating. I'm just curious, what led to that?
I think it was partially how I was raised. Raised in a very faith-based family. My father was a Orthodox priest growing up, and I was very active in the church with him. So there's a lot of lessons that I drew from that. But yeah, like you said, it's a daily process for me. So I listen to a lot of podcasts like this one. I do a lot of reading, and I expose myself to a lot of people that I respect and that I feel like have something or represent something that I feel like I want to have or represent as well. And so that's, gratitude's kind of come through that. And then the main thing with that specific topic is that's, one of the main thing our coaches preach is gratitude. So I've been trying to incorporate that in my life for a long time now. And in the morning, like you said, it's a great time to just start your day off the right way and, start it with prayer and gratitude, and you'll see the effects of it throughout the day. And so, yeah, that's just, coming from exposing myself to different information.
And how long has that been? Was that like a Penn State thing where you started focusing on gratitude, or was that even younger?
Yeah, I think specifically gratitude has been since I came to Penn State. I've always been I would say a grateful person naturally. I've been very fortunate and blessed. So in that way, yeah. But yeah, Coach Kale definitely pointed it out to me that was a main area of focus that deserved to be.
And it's funny too, being a grateful person and practicing gratitude are different. Like, do you know who Gary Vee is?
Yeah.
So I met him a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I remember like I was in New York City getting my fiance's ring sized. We were coming back from Jersey, and I got an opportunity because I bought his wine. And long story short, I got invited to like a wine launch party. So I'm there. He walks in, and I knew for months I was going to have this opportunity to finally meet him. And I've thought about because he's such a genius, and he's in my space of marketing.
Yeah.
And I've thought for years, if I get 5 minutes with this guy, what would I ask him? And I never knew. I just kind of left it open, like, God, if this happens and I can meet someone who's in my space, who knows what he's doing, and I thought all these different questions. Like, initially, I always thought if I met him, I'd ask him, like, okay, Gary, so I've had this marketing agency for 11 years, and we do a lot of custom websites. Should I do this and that? And I've always thought about what I would ask him. And we get to we're at the wine launch party. He walks in. I'm like, I got to be the first guy to talk to him. So I see him walking in. I strategically stroll around like where the bar area is and all these things. And I walk over to him. And I remember, and so I just say to him, like, listen, I gotta, and everybody asked me what I asked him. So this is good that I'm declaring it somewhere. So I asked him, listen, I got a question for you. And I honestly didn't even know what I was going to ask him. I said, yeah. I'm really curious on how you established your perspective on gratitude. Because when I focus on it, I'm hooked. When I think about everything, I'm getting married here next week, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, business is great. Like when I sit down and think about all these things, I'm pumped. But how do you get to the point to where, like, this guy is legitimately grateful every day? It's not a persona. It's not like a facade. It's not like one of these Tony Robbins guys, one of these motivational guys who are just preaching something they don't believe. Like, he's grateful. Mm-hmm. And so I'm asking, like, how do you get to the point to where you're just grateful every day? And he says to me, because the other thing I asked him was, he always says it like the 5 or 10 people closest to him are healthy, so he doesn't care about anything else. If he wakes up and his wife and his kids and his family's healthy, he doesn't care. He's grateful. So I'm like, yeah, but that's great. But I understand that, but when I lose a client or when this happens or when this guy pisses me off, it's hard to maintain that. How do you retain that perspective? And he asked me, he goes, how many times... And then he looks at my fiance. He goes, you guys are getting engaged? Are you guys getting married soon? I'm like, yeah. He congratulates her, congratulates me. And he's like, so when she's healthy, you're happy, right? And I go, 100%. He goes, how many times do you think about that? I go, I don't know, maybe like once or twice a month. Like, I don't think about it. Take it for granted. He goes, okay, so 1 or 2. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how many times did you think about the health of your loved ones 3 years ago? I said, never. He goes, yeah, 0. He's like, I've done this practice every day for years where I know if the people around me are healthy, I'm grateful for that. gratitude is a thing you have to practice. And I'm just sitting there like, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. I'm talking to him like, first of all, this guy's a marketing genius in your space, and you're asking him about gratitude and health. And I'm like, I think it's just God ordained that this is what I asked him about. So we were talking for a few minutes about the importance of gratitude and practicing gratitude. And I think that's why when I heard you talking about a gratitude walk, I'm like, I remember literally the next day after I heard that interview, waking up, and I'm like, I'm going on a walk. And I'm going on a gratitude walk, like not just a normal walk. So I think it's fascinating. Have you found other areas of your life that you do little things like that, where it's just those little everyday things?
Yeah, my life is composed of little things. Throughout the day, I'm always adding or subtracting little things here and there, because that's where I've found my growth and success in. And I think that's where most people overlook is, and there's a quote in the Bible that refers to it about, being faithful in the little things is what helps you be faithful in the larger things. Yep. And I've learned that and felt that experience over the past couple of years. And any little thing that I could try to create a habit that's going to improve me in some way, I'm going to, try to do and value in my daily life. And gratitude through my coaches and through my family growing up has been something that I see value in and see important. And so then I try to incorporate it into my daily life and something that I could stick to. And, getting up and going for a quick walk and feeling good and being thankful for stuff is not that hard. And
so do you still do that? Like, do you do that every day?
Yeah. So if I'm not, most of the mornings I'm working out. So I'll go do that. But if there's days here and there, probably about 3 days where I don't have anything in the morning, and I'll do that. But if I don't get a walk in, it's something just throughout the day. I'll just try to remember, 5 things that I'm grateful for at some point throughout the day. And that's, usually enough to spring me forward to think about more things. And then a couple hours later, I'm starting to think about even more.
Dude,
and just kind of translate.
Sorry for cutting you off. I don't want to cut you off. But I'm fascinated by that because a buddy of mine works for a Christian media company. And he posted this thing for like a week straight where he's like, just for a week straight, I want you to name 3. He posted this on Twitter. I want you to name 3 things you're grateful for every day. And he texted me on the side about it. And I'm like, all right, I'll do this with you. Like 4 or 5 days in, I'm struggling to think. I ended up coming up with things, but like it's tough. Like it really like. The first 2 days are like, okay, I'm grateful I'm getting married. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my company. Yeah. Next day, I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for my dogs. I'm grateful for the bills being paid. Day 3 and day 4 and 5, like, that's tough, dude. Like, it seems like something that's just like one of those fluff things you do. Like, oh, just name a few things you're grateful for. No. Wait till you see how long it takes, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in.
And that shows us just how many, things we're not aware of. Because that 5th, 6th day, you start thinking for the ability to talk and the ability to walk, and just little things that you never really think about. I think that's good because that starts bringing that to your attention, and then you're like, oh, well, this guy ticked me off today, but at least I have all my limbs, at least I'm breathing and this and that. So it just kind of like, it's a different perspective when you start really thinking about things like that. Yeah,
it is. And it takes a level of, I primarily see it in Christians, but it takes a level of humility constantly to maintain that, because most people, whether it's on a high school level and they finally win a state championship, or on a college level and they win an NCAA championship, or even if it's on the Olympic level and they finally win an Olympic championship, it's hard if you achieve your goal to maintain that. And I imagine you're in that place now where I know you want world and Olympic gold, and okay, state championship, check. NCAA championship, check. Like NCAA team championship, check. Like, you've won these things. How do you now maintain that and not get? It's tricky, and you don't even have to have an answer for this. I'm just proposing it. how do you maintain the gratitude for what God has already done in your life with the state and NCAA championship and remain hungry for world and Olympic gold without being like, okay, I'm not happy. I won this and I won that, but I'm not happy because I don't have Olympic gold. How do you maintain that balance of, like, I know for me, it's hard for me now. I haven't had that much success in business, but the success I've had, it's hard for me to get motivated for more because I'm like, I'm content. Like, I'm content with the success I've had. I want more, but how do you take that success in humility and stay grateful for it while still staying hungry for world and Olympic gold now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. I think that's something that anyone who's reached any level of success has to balance.
Yeah.
But to the most successful people, and like I said, I study a lot of those people in different fields. One of the things you always hear is them never being satisfied, and so I think, like you said, it's a balance. I'm very grateful for what I've done and for what God has provided for me and allowed me to accomplish in my life. But those things don't last anyway, so it's always on to the next thing. And I think it's just keeping the right perspective on, I'm motivated to continue to achieve my goals. I'm happy with what I've done so far, and I'm grateful for the little things here and there, and just understanding that a lot of these things, while meaningful and give you purpose in life, aren't going to give you ultimate fulfillment. So being able also to step back just a little bit and understanding what's going on in your life. So I see my past. I'm very happy with it. I'm motivated for the future, but I'm also focused on the present of just trying to be the best I can be now. And I think it's an interesting balance between all three.
It is, dude. Like, even it's so cliche that I'm getting married next Friday, and I never want to be the guy that like lets himself go once he gets married and gets out of shape. But at the same time, I'm all of a sudden like, I don't say I'm not going to the gym today because I don't care. But if you're not motivated for it and you don't like push yourself for it, it's hard. It's one of the biggest struggles with where I'm at in life right now is I'm content with the business I have, and I'm content with the success I have, and I'm hungry for more. But I'd say like my focus has changed to not be like I feel like it was easy, and me and Jordan Burroughs talk about this all the time. It's easy when you're not successful to stay hungry because you've never had it. You want it so bad. It's so easy to be motivated. Once you've had some success in any capacity, it is so hard to either be hungry for more, especially as a Christian, staying humble and keeping the proper perspective of you don't want to be, careless about your past, but at the same time, like, it's hard being the top dog and staying motivated and staying successful. Like, are there little things you're implementing now, without giving anything away, of course? Are there little things you're implementing now to carry that success on to the next level? Obviously, you want to repeat now, win another national championship. Olympics are next year. Like, are you confident in your day-to-day right now? Confident is not the right word, because obviously you're confident what you're doing, but is there a level of just, okay, I trusted the process and I won, I'm going to keep trusting the process? Or are you finding yourself trying to tweak it because, okay, that worked for that, but now everybody knows what I can do, I got to do more? Like, what's that balance like to try to maintain where you've been with where you're going?
Yeah, I think that, I'm always trying to improve, and I feel like if I'm not, then, someone's going to catch me. So I think there's a certain amount of, overall process and things that you keep throughout your life. If things are going well and you're achieving your goals, there's a certain amount of things that you continue to do. But then there's always got to be more that you're implementing and little tweaks here and there that you're trying to get an edge up on other people and trying to just improve your overall life. And so, for me, coming off that national title, it's awesome. Then a week or two later, it's like, all right, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, but what can I do even better, and how can I push myself even further? So currently, that's exactly what I'm doing, is just trying to work a little harder, be a little more committed, add one or two more things to my daily life when I can, and just keep leveling up, because, that's why it's so hard when you see so many champions, struggle to defend titles, and in many sports is, they become sort of stagnant, and then the people that are at the bottom of the hill, they have more hunger and fire, and they pass them up. And so it's, climbing that hill while you're still at the top of it, I think is the real question.
I think it's the hardest thing to do in sports, because you can do everything you can to win a championship, and then it only gets harder because you become scouted more, you become watched more, you become more of a, you might have not been as much of a, like last year, people might have said, I'm going to train for Gable and Derek White more. Mm-hmm. Now this year, they're like, I'm training for Gable, but Cassar is the one I need to beat if I want to be a national championship. Like that makes it harder for you. And I'm always so fascinated by how you level up. Like I asked Yanni that. I'm like, dude, I don't understand you, because you you go to Russia and train for weeks, and then you beat Bajrang, you win another NCAA championship, and now you're still not good enough. Zane beats you in Final X, and you can't get discouraged, but you have to level up, and you have to keep leveling up. And at what point, for somebody like him, okay, he's two-time national champ now, and he wants to continue going to the senior level. How do you continue leveling up on the national level, on the collegiate level? It's a fascinating thing that I think a lot of people don't give enough place to, because they almost take it for granted. And the interesting thing about your career is this is the first time you're going to repeat it, because your senior year in high school, you're done. Okay, you won it. Check that off the list. Now you're going to college. Now you go to Penn State. You fight through all these levels of adversity to win a national championship, just to now win it, and then you get another year, and it's like, oh wait, I can do this again. What's the level of how much? I'm trying to think of how to word this. Is it's not insulting, but what's your level of importance to win another NCAA championship now, compared to saying, okay, I've done that. Now I want to win world and Olympic gold. How do you balance that?
Yeah, so that was the question I was dealing with most of the summer, trying to figure out what I was going to do. And ultimately, what it came down to was wrestling in the collegiate season is going to best prepare me in my coach's eyes and in my eyes to, win the Olympic trials and win the Olympic Games. And so that's what my focus is on. And I'm going to win. My plan is to win, those tournaments, nationals, trials, onto my ultimate goal of becoming an Olympic champ. But that's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is, being on top of the podium in Tokyo in 2020. And I think through that, I can achieve these other goals in preparation. And so that's kind of what we were dealing with throughout the summer. And it's a good question, because you don't want to be overly focused on one thing and slack off on the other. But I feel like in this scenario, they're close enough in preparation and what we're going to be doing for them, and that they kind of go together. So my ultimate goal and those kind of fall in with it is where I'm at.
And it's interesting to see too. I talk to guys that, and there's another thing we talked about. I only on this show and who I work with, and it's I feel like I only get to talk to so many national, world, Olympic champions that it's so interesting to me to see how the perspective changes. Spencer Lee was on the podcast last week, and I'm like, dude, I don't understand how you lose the Big Tens and you don't care, really, and you go out and win NCAAs. And he's like, I don't care. Big Tens isn't my goal. So if I lose, I don't get distracted by it, because the ultimate goal is the NCAA. So why would you get distracted by Big Tens? And it's kind of the place you're at now, where it's and I think there's a lot to be said of somebody who, if your final goal is Tokyo 2020 and you can wrestle a bit more freely at NCAAs, that kind of frees you up to perform better because you're not putting more pressure on yourself to overperform in NCAAs, and that seems to be what I've seen is the gateway to having that continued success. Because you talk to somebody like, Burrows, let's say, who's, okay, he's won it all. How do you stay motivated? And it's like legacy. You talk to somebody like Taylor, and it's like, because I want to win Olympic gold. Like, everybody has such a level of success, and yet they're still hungry for so much more in a different connection. It's one of those. I'm fascinated. Like I've been saying it since the second we got on this call. Like I'm fascinated from the succession of your career. That, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if your journey was one state tournament, one state championship, one NCAA tournament, one NCAA championship, one Olympic trials, one Olympic championship. Like it's just
it's weird how it worked out, but that ended up being the plan after I got to senior year of nationals, and I thought it was going to be my only and last one, and I was like, this is going to be a pretty cool lineup with 1 and 1 and 1 if it works out that way.
Are you excited now though to go defend that throne? Like that's got to be a cool opportunity because you didn't get that shot in high school.
No, it's gonna be. I'm excited, and I only really had one full year of college wrestling, so it's gonna be fun to experience that again, and that national stage is just awesome. So I'm excited to compete in that and the matches throughout the season, and every time the goal is to go out there and win, and I think those scenarios are going to ultimately prepare me for my next goal and the next one, and it just kind of all adds up.
Final thing I'm curious of, and then I'll let you go. I know your dog wants to play and go for a walk.
Yeah, sorry.
No, mine's right behind me. Same thing. What was it like after NCAAs to have all your friends Matt's side? They're like, that to me was one of the. I think Tony Rotundo posted the image of all 15 guys surrounding you. What was that like?
Well, I thought I was going to suffocate to death. Because I got off and I just finished flexing out and celebrating. So I was trying to catch my breath, and then all of a sudden I was surrounded by freaking 10 guys, and I couldn't breathe. So I was really just trying to catch my breath, but no, it was awesome. I was all my brothers and my close friends up there, and that was one of my favorite moments for sure, because they saw what I've been through since high school, and having to leave them was one of the hardest decisions I had to make, was to leave Jersey, which is freaking love Jersey. So that was hard enough in itself, and so just kind of giving them something back to this is why I had to do it, and giving them something to be happy about, and just a testament to all the preparation that I put in, and to have them front row and to see it live. It was surreal. It was exactly how I imagined. So that was a highlight for sure.
I can't even imagine. I always ask people the difference of, as a wrestler, I feel like the ultimate goal is always to be an Olympic champion. Any wrestler would always take an Olympic championship. I won't say world championship, because I know there's people that would rather have an NCAA championship over world, but Olympic championship is always the goal. But there is nothing like 20,000 people in an arena. You don't have that at the Olympics. Wrestling's a tough sport. You go to the Olympics and there might be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people in the arena, but NCAAs is the pinnacle of attention. Yeah. So it's so cool when I see guys win NCAAs. I'm like, all right, now go wrestle for the Olympics, because you've had that success. You're not gonna have your friends in Tokyo. Just...
I hope so, but
I don't know. Dude, your fan base seems nuts. They might go to Tokyo. That'd be fantastic if you can get a posse of people going to Tokyo to.
That's the plan. They're already asking me for tickets. So.
Oh man. That's great.
I have all the jerseys there.
All right. Well, listen, man, I'm so grateful you took the time to come on the show. I wish you the best. I'll be rooting for you. I'm sure I'll see you soon in the state room and Penn State room. And all right, go walk the dog a little bit. I know he's ready.
Well, thanks, Justin. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. What a great conversation. I'm grateful that all these champions continue to open up and be transparent about their careers, and I hope that allows you all to take away some golden nuggets from these episodes. As I started off by saying, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, follow at Baschamania on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And guys, thank you again so much for tuning in to another episode. We'll be back within the next week or so with another episode. See ya!
And the beat goes on. Beat goes on. Beat goes on. Beat goes on.